Hello everyone, welcome to another session of Spiritual Saturday Book Club. As usual, throughout these sessions, we're going to be focusing on Gurus for Hire, Enlightenment for Sale. And this is a book written by His Eminence Tsem Rinpoche to discuss three things mainly. One is how we should view the Guru, especially when it comes to being at a Dharma center, how we should rid ourselves of the preconceived notions that we may have about what a guru does for us. Secondly, it's about the center, how we should behave in the center, how we should think of others in the center, how we use the center and being at a Dharma center to actually progress our spiritual path. And the third section is all about the self, about self-spiritual practice. So today I'm not only live on Facebook, but I also have an audience with me. So I'm going to be probably facing the audience most of the time. So just go into it. We're going to start on page 135. I appreciate the fact that not everyone's going to have a copy of the book. So I'm actually going to read out as we go along, and then I'll stop and then explain or give examples as we go along. I think, let me just refresh my page, see who's online. So, just to give a quick background of the book, Tsem Rinpoche gave a long series of teachings many years ago about the Guru and the Dharma Center and our own spiritual practice, and it actually covers more than 24 hours of footage. So, I think the teaching was given over three days, but in total it was more than 24 hours. 27 hours, okay. And if you want to watch the completely, it is actually online on YouTube. But what Rinpoche what Rinpoche did after that was actually to compile the main points and to publish it as this book. So this is the book that we're going to be going over. Okay? So we start on page 135. So this section actually deals with volunteers. Okay? So before we start, let me just see who's come online. Good morning to Sharon and Jacinta and Gillian. Thank you for joining today's session. So, contributing to the center as a volunteer. Volunteers are people who take time away from work, their families, and their commitments because they really believe in the Dharma, they really believe in themselves, and they want to do something good. They could be volunteering for relief services, earthquake or tsunami victims, or anything meaningful. Volunteers are basically people who are willing to do something without any wish to be compensated or given something back. Those who do Dharma work are of an even higher level. They are doing work for something very supreme. The goal is supreme, the motivation is supreme, and their actions will lead to supreme results. Dharma volunteers are very, very special. Those who are volunteering, although they are very special and are doing something special, should do their work well, conscientiously, and not have the attitude that they are doing someone a favor. You are not doing anyone a favor. You are doing yourself a favor. Whether you volunteer for the Red Cross or a Dharma organization, you are doing yourself a favor by giving something back for all the things you have taken. And if you are looking for somewhere to gain something, you will find it when you volunteer your free services. You gain something that can never be bought, a sense of happiness, peace, and satisfaction that comes from doing something from doing something for the good of it. All of us will feel good about that. Inspiring and helping new volunteers. There are a lot of volunteers and a lot of people who want to do things. The problem is they want to do things their way. They are not different from any of us, and they have their own comfort zones too. It is important for people with positions in the center, as committee members, staff, etc., to be an example to the volunteers. Getting volunteers is quite easy, but we need to be a beacon of inspiration. We cannot just sit on a lotus, wear an Amitabha Buddha Halloween costume, all red with a star, and proclaim that we are Amitabha, and hope they will be inspired to join and volunteer. We inspire them by attending the classes and Dharma talks, volunteering at the different departments, going for pujas on a regular basis. No one is asking us to tell them their fortune, to tell them how many fairies we have dancing around inside our head, to tell them their previous and future lives, or to blow into the sky and make the weather fabulous. What volunteers will expect from us is for us to show persistence, enthusiasm, devotion, effort, and that will inspire people. When I say inspire, it is not a big sweeping statement that we need to be of some incredible monumental level to be of inspiration to others. It is very basic human qualities that will inspire volunteers. Our effort, enthusiasm, patience, perseverance, trial and error. We can inspire others just by being ourselves and pushing ourselves a little bit more. It will become natural. We need to be alert during Dharma teachings, listen to the Dharma, absorb the knowledge and practice. When we do that, people see our effort on the outside, whether we are becoming a Buddha or not on the inside. When people see our effort on the outside, they will be inspired. This is something we can all achieve, and that is the first step in harnessing volunteers' help. The whole point of having a center is to have Dharma teachings, because the achievement of Buddhahood is through teachings. That is why in all religious or Buddhist institutions, the throne is in the center. Therefore, we should attend Dharma teachings happily. If we attend happily and we get the feeling of happiness by going to teachings, we will inspire volunteers to go for teachings. When they learn more, it will be easier for us to tap into their help. If we always say, I'm lazy, I don't feel like doing it, I'm busy, I don't have time, I've got to work, I've got to survive, what is the message we send to another person? If we are always lazy, we cannot make it to teachings or pujas. We do not read, we have this or that appointment. People are going to look at us and think we are hogwash. We are just pretending and we are just using them for something. When we make excuses for people, when we make excuses that people can see through, valid or not, we set an example for them to make excuses too. They will start to feel that they can be busy too, or that they do not have enough time. By consistent and constantly advertising no success, failure and laziness to other people, we do not inspire other Dharma students. Instead, we might bring them down if we are not strong. We are allowed to be down. We are not supposed to be perfect, but the key here is not to be down all the time. To always say that we are busy and we cannot make it will not inspire another person nor bring them higher attainments. The second thing that needs to be done is for people in positions to get organized, identify what departments are in need of help and assistance, or which departments need to improve. Think about why they are not improving and what the weak points are. When we have identified what needs to be done, we should make ourselves available to guide the volunteers and to divide the responsibilities between volunteers, staff, and committee members. So this is quite a short chapter, actually brings up quite a few important points. So the first is the whole chapter is on volunteering, but the chapter is actually mainly aimed at Dharma staff, in how we as Dharma staff should actually behave around volunteers, and that we should actually get involved within all the volunteer work. But from the volunteer side, which is many of you here and many of you online actually who are watching as well, there are some important points that in the longer teaching, Rinpoche actually brought out. The first is to, again, when we come to a Dharma center, when we come for volunteering, we always have a preconceived notion or idea of how it should be, of how it's going to go. You might not know what you're doing, but in the back of your mind, you do have a feeling of, oh, I'm going to go there and they're going to tell me exactly what to do, and I'm just going to sit there and do it. Okay? Volunteering is actually much more than that. It's actually a chance for you to actually have your own initiative. For example, recently we had the we had the Indo Stupa project. So for that, we had many, many volunteers coming every day. And there wasn't that many staff that were able to be there all the time to actually guide all the volunteers in what they needed to do. So we would tell the volunteers that they needed to finish a certain task or to help continue with a certain task, but it was actually the volunteers themselves who actually got themselves organized. After a couple of days, they knew what to do, so they would just come and start doing. They actually helped to organize the work that needed to be done as well. So it's a chance for volunteers to actually show their own initiative in getting a particular task done. The second is actually to avoid, when you come for volunteer work, to have a sense that I'm going to leave all my preconceived notions at the door. You come in as a blank slate, but as a blank slate with a motivation to do something beneficial, to help. For example, earlier today, I think you guys all cleaned the Nageshwaraja statue, right? And helped to clean other areas as well. Now, all of that is actually something that is done. Cleaning is actually done on a regular basis in Kechara. It's done literally every day. But the reason why we have the volunteers come and do it is because for Buddha statues, for example, there is a very big benefit. And that is you actually purify a lot of your negative karma when you actually clean Buddha statues. So especially Nageshwaraja, because he is actually one of the 35 confessional Buddhas. And that practice is purely for purification of negative karma. So when we have less negative karma, which I've talked about before, we're going to have less problems and less obstacles in our lives. And we're going to have, and at the same time, we've generated merit. So when you generate merit because you've done something virtuous, you are actually going to benefit from it because it's something that never diminishes. And it's something that always leads to good outcomes, not just within our spiritual lives, but also within our secular lives as well. Right? Any questions? This is quite interactive, so if you have any questions, just ask. Any questions? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to move on. I think most of that was actually quite self-evident. Then I'll move on to what is next. Next is working for the Dharma. All right. Now, this might not apply to you, but may apply to you later on in the future. But actually, also applies to those of you who are volunteering regularly as well. So I've seen a couple more people join us online. Hannah is online, Tata Ann is online, Kamala Devi, and Pastor Hani. Good morning to all of you, and thank you for joining. So, the staff that work in an organization who have a Dharma stipend, who are close to the Guru, or who have been in Dharma for a long time, should be very kind to the volunteers and should set an extra special example for more volunteers to come. It is their responsibility to make the Dharma grow. How many volunteers come will be totally dependent on the current volunteers and staff and how they act. If the Guru is not around anymore and we need to maintain the center until his next incarnation comes back, who do you expect to keep the center together? Why wait until the Guru is dead and then get yourself together? We should start right now so the transition is very, very smooth. We should start right now by being harmonious, set a good example, work hard, make our work not that of volunteers, but that of devotion to spiritual growth and attainment. We have always had devotion to our family, making money, finding a partner, having friends, perfecting some hobby. We have a lot of devotion. We are not trying to develop something we do not have. It is switching it towards something higher. Actually, this is a very good point that Rimji brought up. A lot of people, when they come to Dharma centers or when they're practicing the spiritual path, think that you have to develop that devotion to something. You have to develop that devotion to the Guru. You have to develop that devotion to volunteering. You have to develop that devotion to your spiritual path. Actually, Rinpoche said you're not developing it. Actually, we have a lot of devotion. But our devotion is to other things. Our devotion is to our family. Our devotion is to our job. Our devotion is to making money. In some cases, our devotion is to food. Okay, we live in beautiful Malaysia, and one of the greatest pastimes in Malaysia is eating. Because we just have so much good food in Malaysia. So a lot of people devote their time to eat. I even know some people, before they joined the Dharma, and they lived in KL, and they wanted a good meal, they would literally drive up all the way to Penang and eat, and then later on in the day, drive all the way back. That's all they did. They didn't go to Penang and go see friends or I don't know, go sightseeing or go shopping. I don't know what's in Penang, but okay. They literally went all the way there just to have one meal. And after the meal was finished and they were satisfied, they drove all the way back to KL. And that is devotion to food. That is real devotion to food. Okay? So if you actually look at your life where you are and what you do, you have a lot of devotion. But if you're serious about your spiritual path, if you're serious about improving yourself, you need to redirect some of that devotion. I'm not saying get rid of it entirely, because we all live in a world where we need to work. We need to work to support ourselves. We need to work to support our families. So there is going to be a lot of devotion in that, a lot of effort in that. But you should see what else you devote yourself to. And then slowly, gradually, rechannel that devotion into yourself, into spiritual practice, into spiritual growth. So Rinpoche explained it this way. And if you explain it this way, it makes more sense. Actually, we're very devoted to something. It's up to you to find out what you're devoted to and to lessen that and to put more effort and more devotion into the spiritual path. Okay? So when we, all the Buddhist texts and everything say you develop something, you develop devotion or you develop effort. Actually, it's not. We have a lot already. We're just redirecting it to something else. Okay? Make sense? Any questions? No questions. Are you sure no questions? Otherwise, I'll get you to think and I'll ask you what you're devoted to. Okay, I'm just going to ask. Wai Ming, what are you devoted to? Yeah, okay, so you're devoted to Kechara, so you work full time. Okay. Okay, I'll get back to you, because this is going to be... I'll get back to you on this. It's okay.
I think it should be work.
Work?
Yeah.
So you're devoted to your work?
I'm not actually devoted, but I have no choice. It's just the work occupies too much time.
Yeah, too much time at work.
Yeah,
that's true.
I think I devoted to food.
Food. Yep. That's true. It is true. Okay, those of you online as well, I've got a question for you. What are you devoted to? What do you have more devotion for in life? Yeah.
Well, I would say that I'm starting to devote myself more into Dharma practice.
Okay, that's good.
And, I used to devote a lot of time to my career, my work,
Yeah.
and between my family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Activities.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What about you?
Me.
Devotion before you become a pastor.
Before I became a pastor, what was my devotion? What was I devoted to? I was devoted to traveling. So I would work, and then I would just earn enough to go somewhere and go traveling. Mostly around Europe, various places around Europe. Actually, that's how I came to Malaysia, because at that point because I was born and brought up in the UK, and I was working in the UK, and Rinpoche has one very old student who lives in the UK. His name is Kang Nam. So at that point, I was meeting up with Kang Nam, and every 2 weeks we would get together and we would do a Satra Puja, and then have very nice food that his wife cooked. So kind of my Dharma journey kind of started with him a little bit. This was after I had found Rinpoche's teachings on the blog. And every time he met me, he would just say, you need to go to Malaysia. You need to go to Malaysia and you need to visit Kechara because it's fantastic. So every time we'd meet, he'd just keep telling me this. So then one day I had about 10 days off work, and I had saved enough money to go traveling. So I knew I wanted to go somewhere during those 10 days. So I was actually planning on going to, I was thinking of going to visit some family in Kenya. But then I met Kang Nam. That very day that I was going to book my tickets, I met Kang Nam. And then he said, you know what, you should go to Malaysia. So then I got back home, and then I was thinking, okay, I've been to Kenya a couple of times, so let me go to somewhere I've never been. Okay, I'll just end up going to Malaysia. So that kind of my devotion to traveling kind of gave me the impetus to actually come to Malaysia. But then when I got here, and then I stayed in Kechara, and then I volunteered at that point throughout all of our departments within those 10 days. So I didn't do any sightseeing, I didn't go anywhere, I didn't see anything. All I did was volunteer for those full 10 days within various departments just to see what Kechara was all about. And it was then that I kind of thought, hang on, this is actually quite nice. It's exactly what Rinpoche wrote in the book. It actually feels good because I'm doing something for another person. I remember that one of the a couple of the days that I spent was in Kechara House. And at that time, because I'm very English, they thought, they asked me to help to transcribe some of Rinpoche's teachings. So for those days, I was just sitting there and I was listening to Rinpoche's teachings, and all I was doing was typing it up. So the volunteer work in that sense helped me learn a bit of the Dharma at the same time. And also, a couple of the days there I spent at Kechara Saraswati Arts. So what I helped out with was rolling mantras and helping to fill statues, because that's one of the services that KSA offers, is for you to give them the statue, and they will roll the mantras and they will fill the statue so it is full, so it's no longer empty. So that day it was, I think it was a Tara statue. So I helped to prepare all the items and to fill the Tara statue. And by the end of it, I kind of thought, okay, this is really nice because I'm doing something to actually help somebody with their spiritual practice. Because I know that Tara statue will sit on an altar, and the person who owns it will actually be making offerings to generate merit, will be doing prayers, will be venerating this statue. So I kind of had a feeling that it was a good thing that I did. And it was a good thing not for myself, because I realized that everything else I've been doing was purely for only myself. You guys, for example, you've helped to clean the statue this morning. People actually come every single day to pray to Buddha Nageshwaraja. And I'm not just talking about us people who stay here or who work here. Every single day people come from outside and go there to make prayers. So you've also done something very meritorious. So I don't know how you guys think about it. Some people, when they come to volunteer, they think, oh, why are these guys making me clean a big outdoor statue? Okay? If they're new or first timers. So it seems a bit weird to them that, you're cleaning a statue. But actually, the volunteer work, as explained earlier, it actually is actually meritorious for you, for volunteers. But again, from the volunteer point of view, we shouldn't have a mindset of, what am I doing? Why are they asking me to do this? Because actually, when you come to a Dharma center, we actually have a very, especially volunteering, you have a very, very narrow sense of what a Dharma center entails. So you see pastors, you see us doing teachings, and you see the staff helping volunteers organize things like today, for example. But being at a Dharma center is actually much, much more than that. And everybody's roles are very, very varied. So, for example, my role is to share what I know, to write, to do counseling, to advise people on spiritual matters. But maybe the person sitting next to me in the office, they're just doing maintenance work. You'll be surprised that we have an entire dedicated team to maintain Kechara. And all they do every single day is to maintain Kechara. Make sure that there is electricity that we're using now with the aircon and the fans. Make sure that the lights are working. Make sure that we have running water. Make sure that we have... And electricity, for example, is a very big issue. It might seem small to us coming from the city, but here it's very big. Because as Martin at the back can tell you, this land before we got it was a complete jungle. And we had to get... what's the company? TMB, is it? TMB to pull electricity cables here to KFR for us to have electricity. And you'll be surprised the amount of times the electricity is cut. Okay? And every time it's cut, we have to basically reset the water and we have to reset the electricity in every single building in KFR. Okay? Apart from that, you also have... okay, so you see the more public figures, you see the pastors, but we also have the Dharma staff, such as Wai Ming and Phoebe here and Martin at the back. They all have varied roles. Okay? So sometimes when you come to volunteer, you might actually be asked to do something that you wouldn't expect to be done in a Dharma center. So if you do volunteer more in the future, just have that in mind. So to have an open mind about what it is that you will actually be doing. But everything that you'll be doing will actually help another person in some way or another. Okay? All right, seeing more people come online. Oh, Yimping is online. Good morning. Thank you for joining. All right, I'll continue on. Everybody knows that Dharma centers are for the betterment of society. So if we contribute toward and help a Dharma center, we are contributing to society. Isn't that good work? Isn't that healing? Isn't that very positive? If we are working in a Dharma institution, our attitude has to be twice as good as that of the people walking in through the door. It has to be doubly good because we are receiving a stipend from the Dharma, which is an offering of money given by people who want solace, kindness, compassion, and to be encouraged that we have become a better person. People donate for us to work for the Dharma and have purpose in our lives. Excuse me. They come with the expectation of becoming better, to meet better people who will inspire them to practice. So if we are just as bad as them, or we are worse than them, why should they pay for our salary? It is like donating to a monk, and he does not want to meditate, study, or learn. He is not kind. He is always just hanging out, watching DVDs, at the movies, or fixing his hair. He is not interested in anything. Why would you donate to that? Why would you want to help that kind of monk? If you would not want to help a monk that does not practice Dharma, why would you want to sponsor a layperson who does not want to do the Dharma? And this actually brings me back to a point which was mentioned in the earlier chapter about volunteering, is inspiring people, being an inspiration. And that's what Dharma staff, that's what the pastors, that's what the Dharma staff should be. That's also what the volunteers should be. Okay? And you're probably wondering, what is inspiration? What does inspiring somebody have to do with the Dharma? Isn't that kind of misleading people? Why would I want to inspire somebody else to practice the Dharma? Okay? A lot of us here who have come here have come because of the Dharma. And the Dharma was taught by who? The Dharma for us was actually taught and explained by Tsem Rinpoche. But the thing is that we can learn the Dharma anywhere else. We can learn it in books, we can learn it from other people. Why did most of us choose to come to Kechara? We came to Kechara because of Tsem Rinpoche. Why did we come because of Tsem Rinpoche? It's very simple. He inspired us. Okay? Another word for inspire could be faith. Okay? It means the same thing. You have faith in somebody because that person has inspired you. So how did Tsem Rinpoche inspire us? He inspired us by actually embodying the Dharma. He embodied the Dharma and he taught the Dharma. So if you see his actions or what he did, everything was based on the Dharma. And that inspired people. That inspired us. So that's why we came to Kechara. And then once we come to Kechara and we learn the Dharma, we now have the tool, if used correctly, to actually transform your life to become better. Which I'm not going to get that into today because it's a whole other topic. But that's also what we should be as volunteers and Dharma staff. We should be inspiring others. Why is that? If we're Dharma staff or we're volunteers and we have been around the Dharma for a while, we should have put that into practice. We should have become a better, kinder person. And when we do that, that's how we start inspiring others to also have the tool, which is the Dharma, to better themselves. Okay? Everybody clear on that? All right. I have a comment from Sharon. One of the best things for parents to do is to do volunteer work with their kids. I started volunteering with the Kechara Earth Project's recycling with my boys, who were then about 7 and 9 years. This helped us bond, and my kids learned how to recycle, and we are still recycling since. Volunteer work helps children focus out to help the community and others. They become less self-centered and more caring. So from Sharon's comment, you can see that volunteering work had a very good impact on her kids, okay, to become better people. But it didn't just have an impact on her kids. It also had a very big impact on her, and that's why she's here. She's Dharma stuff. She's working to benefit others. So you see, there's quite a lot of benefits of volunteering, and there isn't that much of a difference between being a good volunteer and being a Dharma staff, as we like to call people who work here full time. All right, now I think I lost my place. Okay, we should refrain from complaining, just like we do with any other job. We should not say things like, I don't like this job, I'm going to move, I'm going to quit. There are people like this, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. If we think and talk like that in a Dharma institution, we are doing more damage. We are not collecting merit, and we are directly talking and we are directly taking from the Sangha. If we are miserly, selfish, greedy, calculative with money, then by doing Dharma work or by representing the Dharma, we are a very bad face to the Dharma. If we are quarrelsome, we cannot control our anger and do not practice patience, how do we represent the Dharma? If we do not have any perseverance, we are always saying that we do not know anything and we do not try to find out, then how can we work in a Dharma institution and collect the merit or salary from a Dharma institution? Maybe we do not do the job well, nor push ourselves to go all the way with our job. When we have free time, we are sleeping or on the phone with our friends instead of studying, reading, or trying to learn more. That way, we become the cause for other people to get angry at us. And when they retaliate, we might say we cannot take it anymore and start to complain. The worst thing in a Dharma center is to complain about other people. We should realize that we are in a Dharma institution and we should inspire and that should inspire us to do more. People who act like this in a Dharma center, who are wrong objects and who are wrong objects of sponsorship, actually discourage sponsors very much. Sponsors will look at them and say, why should I sponsor this mess or these losers? Why should I sponsor people who are full of anger, who give up easily, who complain, who say nasty things, who fight, who are bitchy? Why should I sponsor them to do more negative actions? Why should I sponsor committees who do not show up for meetings? Why should I sponsor a center that is disorganized? Why am I giving my money away? I may have $1 million, and whether I want to give you just 5 or not is up to me. But if I give it, I have some expectation. We cannot deny anyone that, and whether that expectation is correct or not is a different story. The fact is that the Dharma needs donations and sponsors to survive, and whether a person gives $5, $5,000 or $5 million, they are saying they have an expectation that when they go to the Dharma Center or any of its affiliates, the people there will be a little bit better. People who work in the Dharma Center and its departments, and even people who are not on a Dharma stipend but who work in the center, have a special responsibility to the people who sponsor them. We may not be on a regular stipend, but we do get some kind of help or financial assistance from our guru. Where does the money come from? We must think. A cheap little thank you text to the guru or to the Dharma friends who gave us some help is not good enough. People sponsor and help each other in the Dharma Center because they are coming to look for something better. If we are worse than them, why should they sponsor us? If we work in a posh restaurant as a waitress, we have to make sure that whatever problems we are having at home stay at home. We do not run around the restaurant throwing water at the customers and snapping at them if they want an extra napkin when they are in a bad mood because our husband left us or is seeing a better looking girl. We have to go to work smiling, looking professional and good, with our hair in place, even if our house has fallen down an earthquake, or even if our kids have been kidnapped. We still have to do it because we have to survive. We cannot act opposite in a Dharma situation. In fact, the Dharma is even more important. Whatever job we work in, sales, retail, business, and more so if we are in our own business, nobody cares whether we are in a good mood or not. Why should they? Right? I think that part is quite self-explanatory. So I'm going to move on to the next section, which is students. A Dharma center is a place for people to interact. A Dharma center is not a place filled with bodhisattvas and Buddhas and enlightened beings. It should be that, but it is not. As I said earlier, why lament and be sad when you go to a hospital and find that everybody there is sick? It is the same in a Dharma center. There will be people who are not well. It is totally wrong, unfounded, and illogical to walk into a Dharma center with an expectation that the committee, assistants, practitioners, and students are perfect. Where in this world have we seen, encountered, or had relations with people or situations that were perfect? Even though we are in full control of our body, speech, and mind, we ourselves are not perfect. So to go to a Dharma center and expect perfection is illogical. What we should expect from a Dharma center, firstly, is to see if we have affinity with a place. Affinity could be upon first sight and our first feeling about the place, or it could be from gradually listening to what is happening at the center, looking at the activities and feeling a closeness. This is something that I brought up earlier in the earlier sessions, because this is actually my 12th session doing this book. It's been quite long. Is that people have an expectation of what a Dharma center should be like. But more than that, they have an expectation of what people at the Dharma center should be like. For example, some of the new people, first timers, have a very great expectation of what a pastor should be like, of what Dharma staff should be like. Okay? But nobody is perfect. Dharma staff are not perfect. Senior students are not perfect. It is just that they have been here, and if they're practicing properly, have tried to put the Dharma into practice. So if you have problems when you come to a Dharma center, some people come to a Dharma center because they've got a particular problem. Some people may have spirit issues. Some people might have financial issues that they're seeking some sort of help with. Spiritual assistance. Some people may have family problems. Some people may have physical illnesses. So some people may just be curious about what the Dharma is and about meditation. So everybody comes to a Dharma center with a different expectation. And they come with their own problems. They come with their own set of problems that they're seeking help with. And the Dharma actually does help with these problems if you practice it properly and consistently. Similarly, Dharma staff, pastors, senior students, we also came to the Dharma with a particular problem. And as we're working in the Dharma or practicing the Dharma, we also face many other issues that we're also going through. So sometimes people may not act or do things in the way that you want them to or you expect them to. But when this happens, you should remind yourself that this is also a person that I'm talking to. They also have their own set of problems. Don't put them on a cloud and think that they don't have any problems. Don't think of them as bodhisattvas. Well, they might be, but you shouldn't think about them as being bodhisattvas. You should think about them as being exactly the same as you, human, having made a resolve to work on their spiritual journey. And through your spiritual journey, you will have problems. Things will arise. So everybody goes through something. And one other thing that Rinpoche always said is everybody thinks that your Dharma journey is one that is going to be paved with gold and there's going to be dancing dakinis around you. Okay? The spiritual journey is probably the toughest thing that you will ever do. Why is that? Because it actually makes you focus in. Before you become a better person to transform yourself, Buddhism is always talking about you develop compassion, you develop effort, you develop, all of this sort of stuff, and it's all, flying with the dakinis and the gods in the heavens or whatever. But to get there, you basically have to root out everything that is negative from your mind. And that process is tough. Because you might think that you don't have, many negative qualities or negative habits. But as you start practicing the Dharma, you actually realize that, oh my God, I have a lot of anger. I actually have a lot of anger, and I didn't even realize it. So one, you have to come to that realization, but two, you have to work through it. And then start developing compassion. So it is people who come to Kechara need to know that and understand that. But you also need to know that and understand that that is also happening to everybody that's here. It's just that we have studied the Dharma a little bit more, and we have made the effort that we're going to spend our lives improving ourselves so that we can help others improve themselves as well. Okay? So just keep that in mind.
The Dharma Center gives you a magnifying glass.
Yeah, the Dharma Center gives you a magnifying glass. Okay. I've lost my place. Okay, I'm on new students. There are many new people who will come into the Dharma Center with a lot of questions. And though their questions may seem silly or small to us, we should remember that that is how we all started out. If these people come in and we just let them float around, how would it look? If we go into a shop somewhere and there are no shop assistants or help there, how do we feel about that shop? If any Dharma center wants to grow, it needs to take care of new people, have a guiding hand, and be organized. If we handle the new people in the beginning well, I guarantee you, disgruntled and unhappy students will be much, much less. When new people enter a Dharma center, there needs to be a committee or group that can take care of them, to guide them and to answer the questions. Human love, feeling, and social contact is what they are looking for. If we spend time with them, our sincerity, time, and love in explaining things to them will override how much we do not know. We should believe that how the Dharma community is represents the Dharma teachings. That reflects back to the Buddha. This means if we are kind, if we take the time and love to share, show, and explain, it helps us to learn and it helps them to understand the principle of Dharma, which is compassion and care. When people come to the Dharma Center, they will not feel the power of Tsongkhapa or the lovely motherly energy of Tara. What they are going to feel is our compassion, love, energy, and effort towards them. And when they feel that, they will know the teachings are good and the center is good. Then people will feel warmth when they come to our center. We should start from the fundamentals and basic questions that new people have. We should let them know about our Guru, who he is, where he comes from, what he is doing, how long he has been here, etc. We could inform them about the center, the history, the purpose of the center, past events, the different departments, show them notices and articles on the bulletin boards and websites. We need to explain things to them, and after a while, they will feel our love and sincerity and understand what our center is about. We should introduce them to other Dharma brothers and sisters and get closer. It is fun to meet new people, listen to their questions, and help them solve their problems. It is fun to see why they are here and to see them grow. When they come up to us a few weeks or months later and say thank you, we will have received the biggest reward that nothing could ever beat. They are like salmon swimming upstream. Some die, but if there is someone there to help them and push them along, they will all survive. Some strong new people survive and get stronger and stronger, and they look around the center and go deeper into it. But some do not, and we need to take care of them. Instead of just sitting in meetings and wondering how to raise funds all the time, how about doing something that is very useful and practical that is all within our power? Every person in the committees, every staff or volunteer can take on a few new members that come in, get their phone numbers, exchange and talk. That will be very helpful. We must develop good relations with new people and help them. If we let people come in and just leave them on their own, or if we are not organized, then when the Guru goes out to teach and lots of new people come who we do not contact or stay in touch with, we lose the chance to benefit them. The buddy system. Dharma centers could set up a buddy system to guide new students. There are many members and people in centers committee, so each person could take care of 2 or 3 people. Or centers could set up a rotation system between the buddies to take turns to look after each new person that comes to the center. Those people who volunteer time to the center should really volunteer. We should not just talk and not actually do anything, not show up and are always busy or unhappy with this or that. This is not a buddy system. If we do that, we bring down the new people. Or if we are in the Dharma and we are always hanging around so-called Dharma students who always bring us down, eventually we will go down too. We need to guide new people, but we also need to be firm with them. We need to let them know politely that we will be with them to help them, but that they also need to do their part and not just sit back and expect the center to do everything. If we are firm and at the same time we take good care of new people and volunteers, they will definitely start doing things and getting involved. Getting more volunteers starts with this. Members of Dharma centers need to make themselves accessible. It will be good to have a buddy system where these new people can meet with us once or twice a week for coffee or get together for a few hours and talk. We all like to socialize. What better way to socialize than with the potential Dharma students who we can help so much? In the beginning, they are not going to see attainments, Buddhahood, bodhicitta, or saving the world. What they are going to see is a kind person who takes the time to talk to them, gossip for Dharma. Dharma centers in countries with no mass Buddhist consciousness are filled with lay people, and there are very few Sangha members. Actually, this applies to Malaysia. So you will think that you would actually think that having so many Buddhist temples and Buddhist monasteries in Malaysia, that we actually do have a mass Buddhist, what Rinpoche terms as a mass Buddhist consciousness. But actually we don't. A country that has a mass Buddhist consciousness is where, according to Rinpoche's definition, is where Buddhism is everyday life for everyone. So it's ingrained in you culturally through society at a very, very young age. So for example, if you were a normal Malaysian and you come across a monk or a nun, you would probably, the first thing you'd probably think is, oh my God, they're a bit weird because they've taken vows as a monk or a nun. But the second thing, you would not know how to talk with them. You would not know the proper way to interact with them. Because you'd just be interacting them with like a normal person. But actually in a country with mass Buddhist consciousness, there would actually be given, from a young age, you'd already be taught how to approach a member of the Sangha, how to talk to a member of the Sangha, what to do, what not to do, how to act, how to behave. But it's more than just the protocol, the outer protocol of the Dharma. It is also about the inner protocol of how to act and how to behave. For example, some people, when they come to a temple or a monastery, they might, and they come with a group of friends, for example, they might just go around touring the place, gossiping very loudly, talking very loudly, not caring about other people who are there. For them, it's just, oh look, I'm at a temple. But in a country with mass Buddhist consciousness, when you go to a temple, you would already know how to act and behave. So coming back to Malaysia, Malaysia is not a country with a mass Buddhist consciousness. And even some of the simplest Dharma terms, or not terms, but Dharma knowledge that Rinpoche had to impart to us again and again and again, in a country with a mass Buddhist consciousness, it would be ingrained in them from a very young age already. Okay? Why was I talking about that? Oh, okay. Dharma centers in countries with no mass Buddhist consciousness are filled with lay people, and there are very few Sangha members. In these places, instead of going to a monastery or temple where people know what is going on, we go to Dharma centers where people do not know what is going on. We need a counter-culture, and we need to start something new. There will always be a lot of young, fresh, happy people who like to run around and jump all over the place, drink coffee, and have a good time. If we like to do that too, we can help new people that way. We can introduce new people to Dharma by taking them out to the movies or having a space in the center where people can meet and socialize. Instead of just concentrating on having huge chapels, we should also have rooms or a space within our center where we can spend time with new people to watch Dharma videos, relax, laugh, and have fun. That is more important. From that, more people will come into the Dharma. Make the center a warm, happy place. Have Dharma events, karaoke sessions or picnics. Gather at one of the students' houses for little Dharma potluck get-togethers and watch videos. Sometimes we can even go out to the movies, which do not have to be Dharma movies. Think of different programs and activities. This is actually something that you wouldn't usually associate a Rinpoche, a High Lama, advocating something like that. Because you'd probably think from our own notions of the Dharma that a Rinpoche or a High Lama would just say, no, sit down, meditate, learn the Dharma, don't have any fun. Because that's what we associate Buddhist practice with, right? But actually that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And according to the Dharma, how Tsem Rinpoche taught it, that should not be the case. We should actually do things to that we know as fun. Okay? So one of the things that Rinpoche loved to do is, well, not really love to do, but one of the things that Rinpoche did with the writers and some of the Ladrang staff on occasion was to take us out for a meal. Okay? And another example that Rinpoche used to do is he used to take us out to the movies. Okay? So on the outside, you're probably thinking, oh, okay, Rinpoche likes to have a little bit of fun with his riders and his Ladrang staff. Ladrang is the household. And some of the people would think, oh, Rinpoche is just giving you guys a break because you're constantly just doing Dharma work. You're constantly in KFR. You're not going out, apart from if you need to get supplies or whatever, or something for Dharma work. So Rinpoche is just giving you guys a break from that. And it's true, Rinpoche was actually giving us a break from that. But it was more than just a break. It was actually a learning opportunity. Because if you just read and you write and you don't do anything and you don't interact with people, actually, and don't have experiences, your spiritual journey will become stagnant. Okay? So when we used to go out to the movies, for example, and it would be any sort of movie. It could be a horror movie, it could be a sci-fi movie, definitely not a romantic movie because Rinpoche hated those. Horror was a good one. Horror was a good one, and Rinpoche had this habit of, in a horror movie, you'd be sitting there, and then Rinpoche, at certain moments in the movie, Rinpoche would scare us. So, for example, if Rinpoche was sitting on the row behind me, Rinpoche loved doing it to me because I would always jump. Rinpoche knew that I mean, I love horror movies because I love the feeling of being scared. Like, you know, that tingling down your spine, and I just love it. But at the same time, I'm really scared. So Rinpoche would do this thing that he would very quietly swap. I would sit the furthest away from Rinpoche because I knew that he would scare me. But during the course of the movie, sometimes he would casually swap seats very, very quietly until he got close to me or other students he knew that he could scare very badly. And then during certain parts of the movie, he would just come forward, like behind my chair, and I'd grab my chair and shake it and go, boo! And that usually scared me quite a bit. So people learned not to sit near me or around me because my popcorn would go flying in the air and they'll be covered with popcorn. Huh? Yeah. And Rinpoche would do that every time we went to see a horror movie. And it wasn't with me, it was with a couple of others would get scared too. So later on, he would, swap seats again with students and scare the other student. So so people think, oh, Rinpoche's just having fun, Rinpoche's scaring you because you're scared or you're such a scaredy cat. Actually, Rinpoche was checking on our spiritual path when he was scaring us. Why? Because the spiritual path is all about keeping centered, keeping your cool. In modern terms, it would be keeping your cool under pressure or whatever. But it's all about being centered and not letting external situations dictate your actions or how you react. So one good way that Rinpoche did that was by occasionally scaring students to see how they would react. The less you actually react, it actually shows that internally you're growing stronger. Because even though you think that, okay, it's just a natural reaction because he's scared, right? Actually, you can control your reactions, your physical reactions. So over time, if you're actually practicing, you're actually able to physically control how you react. And if you can do that and have some sort of control over that, you're also going to be able to have some sort of control over your emotions. And emotions are the things that get us into trouble. They lead us to react in certain ways that are not good. Or there could be a better, more logical way to react to something or to go about doing something. But when it comes from emotion, 99% of the time it's going to be negative. It's going to lead you to do something negative. So you see, controlling yourself physically, Rinpoche used as a meter to see how much you can control yourself emotionally, because they're the same thing. If you can control one, you can start controlling the other one. The easiest one to control is your physical actions. Then, once you get a hang of that, you can actually start controlling your emotions as well. It leads you to become a better person because you're not acting out of negative emotions. And Rinpoche didn't just used to scare me at the cinema. Rinpoche would, in Ladrang, in his house, he would hide around corners and he would come out and just go, boo! And I would, you'd jump because you weren't expecting it. And the thing is that Rinpoche, to me and a couple of other people in Ladrang, he would just do this constantly until you're not so jumpy. And until you can control your physical reactions. And there was one person, I'm not going to name names, when he gets scared, his arms like wave like this, and he literally jumps off the floor when Rinpoche started, or when I joined. But over time, he was able to control his actions. So now he doesn't jump off the floor. He just goes, ah! And that's it. But even that is a big step. Because otherwise he would have gone his entire life, whenever he gets scared, jumping off the floor and going, ah! Okay? So, now he just lifts his hands up a bit when he gets scared. Huh? Oh, yes. And so it shows that this person has some sort of control now. And you can actually see that emotionally now this person also has some sort of control because he's learned control. And this is what Rinpoche was trying to show and trying to teach. Yeah. And there's videos of Rinpoche scaring me, by the way. So it was a way that Rinpoche gauged us in our practice. But the method he used is for us to have fun. He took us to the cinema. And that for most people is fun, because you're going to see a movie. Going out to eat is fun, so he would go out, but he would use different methods during dinner to check where we were on our spiritual practice. But, so Rinpoche advocating people to go, for senior students to take volunteers out, to have fun with volunteers, is not just about having fun. It's also about gauging where the volunteer is and thinking of ways to actually help them to solve the problems that they're having. Okay? So you will hear about people, taking people to the dinner and the dinner lasting for, 3 hours or something. But it's not just eating. The Dharma stuff or the person is actually trying to help that other person, trying to gauge where that person is and trying to help them, but in a more friendly environment. Because if I brought you in here and you're in front of me now and, tell me all your problems, you're not going to do it.
Why am I in a counseling session?
And then you're going to think, why am I in a counseling session? And then you're not going to open up and you're not going to be genuine. Why? Because it is not a conducive environment for you to actually relax and for you to actually share your problems that you actually need help with. So that is one of the reasons why that Rinpoche advocates going and getting to know a person first before you can actually do something to help them help them through their problems. Okay? Okay, unhappy students. Okay, we've still got a little bit more time, I think. Okay. Dharma centers should also set up a committee or a group to deal with unhappy students or people in the center. In every Dharma center or Dharma teachers organization everywhere, there will be students who are disgruntled for right and wrong reasons. We can straighten out those with right reasons because they do want a solution, but there will also be some people who may not actually want a solution. Gauge the person. If this person has been unhappy and complaining about the center for the last 10 years, then never mind. They are happy being unhappy. But if there is a new person who is unhappy about someone or something, or there is a miscommunication and they do not understand something, we should call them and talk to them, ask them what is going on, give them some Dharma or something to read, or send them a nice email. We should help calm their anger. We do all this because we care. We must realize that there will always be one or two unhappy people wherever we are and whatever we do. There are people who hate the Buddha, past and present. There are people who hate the Dalai Lama. There are even people who shot Mahatma Gandhi. He never raised one weapon against anyone, but he freed hundreds of millions of people from colonialism in his country by starving himself. They shot him. How many assassination attempts have there been on Mother Teresa? There are one or two people who do not like Tsem Rinpoche either. Om Mani Padme Hum to them. I have a closet full of kites, and when these people get on my nerves, I will give them a kite. When they ask me what they should do with it, I will tell them to fly it. There will always be one or two disgruntled people, whatever. Students who take advantage of the center. Some students come to a Dharma center because they want to take advantage of it or of the situation there. I am so sorry to be saying this, and I'm not happy saying this, but it is true. There are people, the people they connect with may not be aware of this because when people come to the center, we automatically assume they're looking for something spiritual. People in the center let their guard down more than usual because they automatically assume that because people are praying, chanting, meditating, taking refuge and have a guru, they must be good. There are some people who take advantage of this. I have seen it happen a few times. There are some people who see the center is full of people who they could do business with. They join the center thinking they can sell something or they get some sort of financial profit by connecting with the people there. I have seen people ask for money and loans from members of the center but do not get involved with or help the center at all. This hurts me very badly because I can see that it hurts them. Why does it hurt them? They have a great opportunity at hand, but they use it for using people instead. We have all used people in business, relationships, and our dealings in social and work situations. Must we also use people in the center? People in the center are more vulnerable. I have seen examples of this in America and here in Asia. There are people who come to the center but do not join in the prayers or classes, do not volunteer for any activities, offer their time, energy or help, nor support the center financially in any way. Oops. These people do not bring anything new to the center nor help any new people. They perpetually have something else going on in their lives, yet they want to connect with the Dharma students. They want their phone numbers and contacts, and they are constantly talking to the center's members. When we ask them why they do not join in the center's activities and events, they always have eloquent answers. There are people who do not listen to any of the advice that the gurus or senior students have given. They avoid the seniors and the gurus. They only go to the juniors and the new people who do not know anything so that they can say anything they want and influence them. I have also seen this before. They get close to the new people, and when they are in a bad mood or upset about something or someone in the center, they start saying very negative things to the new people. Then the new people start having doubts. They show a bad example to new people, and it brings down the energy of the whole center. These people do nothing and contribute nothing to the center, but they do so much damage indirectly. For people who are not committed to their Dharma centers, we keep disturbing or contacting center members. And for people who are involved with the center at their own convenience, my question is, why? I am not saying do not go to the center. We should go to the center. But it is to go there to pray, meditate, learn, get involved, donate, contribute our time, skills, knowledge, help, money, or whatever we can to benefit others. These people make me very sad because usually if they do not get what they want or need from the center, they are not the type to leave you in peace and quiet. They usually do damage. Every center in the world has to be very wary of that and realize there are people like that. But that is where they are right now. We need to forgive them by not hurting them, but we do not need to get involved either. Compassion does not mean being stupid or going along with their ways. That is not being compassion. It is being taken advantage of. Compassion can mean saying no to them. High profile or well-known students and visitors. When elite and wealthy people with status or name come to our center, we should carefully consider how we handle them. Everyone has a different view of people who are wealthy, rich, of caliber, or who are well-known celebrities, but they have all worked very hard and sacrificed countless hours, blood, sweat, and tears to get where they are. The deep fundamental respect and admiration we have for them arises because we acknowledge they have worked hard and established themselves. We must realize that these well-known, wealthy people of caliber, name and position get harassed by people all the time, asking them to do something for them. They have their sufferings and problems just like us. In fact, with respect to people with money, position, name and fame, they have more problems and sufferings than us. In order to get where they are, more had to be sacrificed. There is more jealousy and higher expectations of them. Wherever they go, people expect them to dole out connections, money and help, and if they do not give freely, they are looked down upon. They need the Dharma too. Not everything is going wonderfully in Wonderland all the time. When they come to the center and we victimize them, expecting them to give to us, that is not very good. We should not always focus on that. We should have compassion for them just like we have compassion for everyone else. They are people just like us and they have feelings. Some of them may be very well known and keep their feelings hidden away very deeply because they have been hurt many times because of who they are. People have used them many times. We cannot use them. We have to be better than the rest. They can help and do things for the center, but we must realize that they also have to deal with people who are not in the Dharma. We must understand how much others are already doing to them on the outside. We need to respect them by not having any expectations that they will sponsor, give and do things for us. Maybe they are able to, maybe they are not. Maybe they have their hands tied by certain situations we do not know about. But we cannot assume that they are rich, well-known, and can do things for us. We must talk to them without motive. Anyway, if they are wealthy, well-known, and of high profile, they will be smarter than us and be able to sense our motives better than ourselves. They have had experiences because people approach them for all these things all the time. We should open up to them from our heart and be sincere to them. In time, when they learn the Dharma, they will see how sincere everybody is. Be just like one of the group. Practice and open their hearts. And when they can, they will help. We win people over by respecting them, giving them Dharma knowledge, and being friendly with them. Also, some people who are of high caliber and status were born into a background of wealth and position. They may have a way of carrying themselves, talking and interacting with people as they are used to among other wealthy people. Sometimes because of this, they may look distant, aloof, or arrogant when we meet them. They may look like they want special treatment, special status, and special care. Sometimes for some people, we do not need to do that for them. In giving them something they are familiar with, their minds will relax. They will see who we are. Lastly, if these people are brought in by existing members or students of the center who they are comfortable with, then we should leave them with those people. We do not have to stick them into the buddy system. We should always respect them and the friends who brought them in. If everyone in the center swoops down on this one person, how will he feel? If we need to contact them, we should do it through their friend or contact within the center. This is not an easy issue to talk about. It is a sensitive thing, but it has to be talked about because it is important in Dharma centers. All Dharma centers need high-profile people and wealthy patrons. It is on the basis of their kindness that the center can grow and benefit everybody else. All centers need that, but the need must be fulfilled with wisdom, skillful means, compassion, and respect. So some of you online and some of you sitting here might be thinking, wow, what you're talking about is kind of the inner workings of a Dharma center, something that you might not have thought about, or you might not have known that even existed. But this is one of the reasons why Rinpoche actually published this book. It is actually to show what goes on in a Dharma center and also how people should act and behave within Dharma center, a Dharma organization. Because these things are kind of, if you go to other Dharma centers, these things are taboo. You don't talk about these things. But Rinpoche said if he wants everything in Kechara to be as open as possible. So the way that, for example, I deal with people is based on this book. And I always recommend this book to the people that I'm dealing with, because I want them to know and understand where I'm coming from, how I can help them. More than just telling them, oh, develop compassion, oh, put in more effort, oh, do more Dharma work, oh, increase your sadhana to 3 hours long every day. Okay? This is the nitty-gritty of Dharma work, of being at a Dharma center. It's the nitty-gritty of coming to a Dharma center. It's the nitty-gritty of, volunteering. It's the nitty-gritty of being a Dharma staff. And this is what we need to know. If you don't know this and you don't have a good grounding on all of this, you won't make much use of being at a Dharma center. You may come to a Dharma center just to learn or volunteer, but you can make so much more use of this environment. And this is what Rinpoche is teaching in this book. So I'm going to end there. Any questions? I don't see any questions online. Any questions from people who are here about volunteering, about Dharma work? Any questions at all? Nothing? Okay. So I'm going to end it there. Just before we end, I would like to thank today's sponsors who have helped the program today. One is Karen Wong. The dedication, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Also another sponsor, Arbun, who doesn't have a specific dedication. And somebody who would like to remain anonymous. May everyone find lasting happiness and awaken their innate compassion, nature and wisdom. So thank you all for joining. Before we end, because we do have sponsors today, I'm going to do a quick dedication to dedicate the merits from this short sharing session. Chanjo Semjo Rinpoche, ma kepanam geguji, gyapanya ma me payang, gonden gondu pewashu, tokni tonga Rinpoche, ma kepanam geguji, gyapanya ma me payang, gonden gondu pewashu, naso jine sapa gewadi, tandan ruwangun langampadan, jepa jesum losan drapai, tampe nipurindu sa shesh, gewa kuntunyata lamadan, dramenchiki pala lojochi, sadamyam giyontera zone, doji jenki ngupanutush, gewadi nududa, lama sangedu kune, jowa Chiku Malopa, the Isalagopa, Chuki Gapo Sonkapa, Chosonama Pevala, Gekishama Ziwadan, Dugi Malun Samuch, Dana Sandin Dusonda, Dewatsotenatene, Gawalo Santa Pai, Tampering by Guge, Nimo Dele Sandele, Nimo Gunya Delechi, Nisantatu Telepel, Conchusum Gigi, Conchusum Gingoruso, Conchusum Dita, Shisho, Chatsu Lama Kuseram Teji, Nam Katrina Jojo Japada, Losanta Medro Mesasumgi, Droe Mutseta. Ne huge Gangri Rawe Corporation come there, Pendan they were Mala Guane, Chandras the Wentensi Gatsovi, Shape City Pardo de Enguchi, Home to Bang or Drumalopan, then the Douglas of the Soul, Kodan the Palochana, Gyobatso Chick shook dance. Okay, thank you everyone for joining today's Spiritual Saturday Book Club. I hope you've learned a little something about the correct way that we should volunteer and do Dharma work. All right, thank you.